Greetings, Sentinels fans. I've been wanting to do these for a while now. Every hero in the game has alternative versions available. They can be acquired either as printouts from the wiki or from purchase from Greater Than Games. These promo variants can significantly alter how we play these heroes, so I think it's time we talk about them. First, a quick primer as to what a promo variant is. It's an alternate version of a character card that is designed to alter the gameplay a bit. For heroes, it changes only 3 things. First, it can change a hero's hit point count. Not usually by much, but it's there. Second, it changes a hero's incapacitated abilities, which can either be of great interest or not so great interest depending on how your current game is going. It is something to keep in mind for OblivAeon games though. And third, and of most interest to players, it changes your hero's starting power. This of course can change how your hero behaves through the entire game. For this list, I am only going to talk about the powers because they are really the only factor I think about when choosing a promo. Now you may be asking, why am I starting with the OblivAeon heroes? Well, simple answer, I'm stalling. You see, the definitive edition of the game is in the works, and it'll probably include a lot of extra variants. So, I want to be able to include those. So I'm stalling by going in reverse order. So with these lists, I'm going to talk about the different promo variants and tell you which are the best and which are my favorites. I make that distinction because they are not always the same. And of course, if your favorites are not the same as mine, don't worry about it. They're all fun in their own way. So let's get to business. The 5 heroes we are looking at today are Luminary, Harpy, Lifeline, Comodora, and Akash'thriya. Ah, good old Luminary. I love this evil jerk. His 2 variants are his base and heroic versions. Heroic Luminary is an alternate universe version of the Good Baron, who is a hero and female. Both of these are quite fun to play. Base can use his power to cycle 2 cards through his deck and into his discard, and play a device if one was revealed. The heroic version does an attack that deals an amount of damage equal to the amount of devices in play. With Heroic Luminary, her deck tends to move a bit slower, so you don't get the awesome Doomsday machines to work until late in the game, and because the devices are pretty disposable, you might not be able to get a lot of mileage out of the power unless the villains are using a bunch of devices. However, if you can set up the Explosive Reconstructor and activate it, you can place a ton of devices on the field at once, and then you can get some impressive work done. However, base Luminary wins out for me, since his power guarantees a fast cycle through his deck. With him, it is very easy to find and use his Doomsday machines. Not to mention he places devices much quicker, so you can have a robot swarm and not even need the Doomsday machines. And now we have Harpy. She has her base and her Darkwatch version. The base version has the simple deal 2 damage power. Darkwatch Harpy does something a bit more interesting. It first flips one of her tokens, and then allows her to play a card. This is a bit of a big deal. First, being able to play an extra card is a major asset for any hero. It allows for faster setup and more actions. But also, the flipping of the token allows you to set up for future plays much quicker, as you no longer need to rely on cards to do it. And it takes full advantage of Harpy Hex. It's also not so powerful that it replaces the other powers she has. Those other powers are still useful even when you have this. So in these ways, the Darkwatch variant is better and more fun to play. Next up is Lifeline. We have his base version and his Blood Mage version. And this is one where I don't have a preference, nor are they really comparable. Base Lifeline has a power to draw a card and let another hero draw a card, or even draw an additional one for himself. Blood Mage, however, deals 2 damage to himself and to all of his enemies. Your preference will depend on what you want, whether it's speed of setup or a powerful but self-harming attack. You can argue that Blood Mage is better because it interacts with his deck some more, or that base is better because you get more of his deck. Regardless, his other powers are suitable and maybe preferable alternatives to both of them, but not full replacements either. Now we have Comodora. Ella tiene su versión normal y su maldición de negro mancha versión. Really, editor? What's with the Spanish? Probably wasn't even good Spanish. Curse of the Black Spot Comodora allows her to deal 2 damage and then discard the top card of any deck. While this can be useful for churning through the villain deck, getting cards for Luminary or Tachyon's trash, or even milling through her own deck looking for cards she can retrieve with Rudder in the Time Stream or Concordant Helm. But it is not nearly as useful as her base version's power. This power allows her to take any card from a hero's trash and puts it under the top card of their deck. This can be something that is invaluable to the players, since any essential equipment that they lost can be returned and any amazing single-use cards can be brought back and used again. Its only issues are that it has limited usefulness in the early game, since at that point, heroes are likely more interested in getting set up and drawing a lot of cards than in using their one-shots or slowing their draws by putting cards back into their decks. It also doesn't make the cards immediately available, requiring 2 card draws to retrieve them before they can be used, which might not be ideal in an emergency. Still, because this is such a rare effect and even rarer for it to be repeatable, it is the better power. And finally, we have Akash'thriya. She has 2 promos, Base and Spirit of the Void. And this is another case where they are both equally fun. Both rely on their primordial seeds, but they use them differently. Spirit of the Void Akash uses the seeds as a source of damage, so she wants the seeds on the field, but otherwise it doesn't really change anything. The only huge difference is that you might decide you have more use for Thrashing Brambles, since Thrashing Brambles boosts the attacks of the seeds, and that's where the damage is coming from when you're using this version. She still tosses seeds in the environment deck and trash, and she still takes advantage of seed effects when seeds are destroyed. Her power also boosts her card play and card draw, enabling the player to place a bunch of seeds in play very quickly to get access to that damage. Her base power is more tied to her concept. It places a seed from her hand or her trash into the environment trash. While it would take many turns and a few well-used ongoing cards, it goes a long way towards either making the environment inert or make it actively work for you. This version of Akash is much less reliable when it comes to dealing damage, but is much better at making use of the environment. So it will be up to the player what they like more. Me? I can't really choose a preference. And that is the first of these. Good fun variants to spice up your games. I hope to see you around. Take care, friends. We have his base version and his Blood Mage version. Now we have La Comodora. And here comes the bad Spanish. Ella tiene su versión normal y su maldición del negro mancha. So close. Ella tiene su versión normal y su maldición del negro mancha. Retrieve with rudder in the time stream or that is a very long sentence. Why did I do this to myself?